Good day and welcome to the Omkar. My name is Omkar, and on today's program, I want to cover a topic, let's say, at the beginning of everything that we need to know. So, today's topic would be, what is the soul? What we hear a lot of people they speak about it, and today's aspect or perspective on what is the soul will be based on yoga. Generally speaking, let's say if we were to speak strictly on Hinduism, Sanatana Hindu, or even in terms of what the modern iteration is of Hinduism, or Sanatana Hindu is more puja and ritual, and then there is a lot of the reading of the Ramayana and scriptures, the Puranas, the Bhagavad Gita. We come across a lot of times, let's say, the topic of the soul. Unfortunately, it is my belief that unfortunately a lot of what the Hindus in Trinidad and Tobago believe or know about the soul is based on Christianity. Now, you'll hear me state that a lot in this series, and it's not that I am trying to attack the Christian belief system or even the Muslim belief system when I make reference to it, or any other major belief system. But this is really, it's trying to bring an awareness to the Hindu community, or especially the young people or people who want to know these things, so that you can identify the difference in the belief systems. So it's not about I'm not picking on anybody or attacking anybody. It's more of a reference that I'm saying most of what we believe the soul is, and the journey of the soul, is based on our Christianized upbringing. So what we would see in TV, in movies, even in cartoons, or when you're growing up, what we are exposed to is a Christian view of the soul. So let's get into the beginning of the Hindu, based on, like always, what the internet is telling us. So the soul, according to yoga. So in yoga, the soul, or Atman, is understood as the individual's true eternal self, distinct from the physical body. And we will know this from Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna would say that the soul travels, the soul uses the body like a suit of clothes, and at the end of life changes the one suit of clothes for another, as the soul journeys through its existence. So in yoga, the Atma is the true eternal self within each person, distinct from the physical body, mind, and ego. And this is something I want to highlight here at this point, which is the distinct form of the physical body, mind, and ego. So what is mind, according to yoga? So in yoga, the mind, or chitta, is understood as a complex entity with multiple aspects, not just a single unified force. It encompasses intellect, memory, identity, and awareness. So in yoga, in the system of yoga, the mind, or chitta, is considered an entity on its own. So that's why, for example, they say you struggle against your mind, or you when you sit for meditation, the mind is an obstacle, because the mind is seen as separate from the self. So you are in conflict with your mind if you try to practice yoga. That's the basic, let's say, the basic approach we will take, let's say, to understanding what the mind is. And so intellect, so your ability to reason, your memory, your identity. So identity is important here because yet, let's say your sense of self, what you believe you are, is your identity, and your awareness. So what you are conscious of at any point in time. All of that is part of the mind, according to yoga. So the body, so the eternal self is distinct from the physical body and the mind. So because a lot of us, let's say if, for example, we identify as a certain religious background. So for example, Hindu, that is an identity. If we identify as male or female, that is an identity. If we identify as, let's say, a particular class, let's say high class, lower class, middle class, all of these are identities. So the goal of yoga, so we will skip this. So the universal soul, which is Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, it is Ram in the Ramayana, the universal soul is Shiva in the Shiva Puran. So God, let's say, God is the ultimate reality, the supreme, all-encompassing consciousness or divine essence. What that means simply is that God is seen as the original source. It's the source from which all individual souls originate. So it's stated here. So God is, let's say, the original. And this is where the analogy in Hinduism, the soul is like a drop of water and God is like the ocean. That's basically the analogy that they use, and it's apt. So the goal of yoga is to realize the true nature of the self and achieve liberation or moksha by uniting the individual soul, Atma, with the universal soul, God, so Brahman. This is often described as the merging of the individual consciousness with the cosmic consciousness. So the best description is, again, like the way Sri Krishna describes himself in the Bhagavad Gita, is that in a yogic sense, and so it's not, this is where you have to understand, or the point is now that in a yogic sense, Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita is somebody who he has realized his divine nature. So he has realized that his consciousness is part of God consciousness, and being part of, you identify as the entirety. So it's not that Sri Krishna, for those who are Hare Krishna or they are bhaktas of Lord Krishna, it's not that Sri Krishna is God. Sri Krishna, his consciousness has realized that he is consciousness, he is God. So the yogis in their discipline or their practice, they are trying to achieve Krishna level of consciousness. Now in the naming aspect of it now, Krishna would, because he identifies as God, when he identifies himself as Krishna, Krishna is synonymous with, in meaning, God. But, God is not Krishna. Remember, this is a yogic explanation I'm giving. So the soul. Yoga also incorporates the concept of reincarnation, where the soul is believed to be reborn in different bodies and realms based on karma, action, and their consequences. Now, this is very important in my assertion that we have been conditioned to think in terms of Christian belief. The Hindu, so yoga, like in my previous video explaining the yogas as explained in the Bhagavad Gita, so yoga is synonymous here with different ways to approach God, or different different forms of religion. not different religions, but different ways of religious practice. So, according to Hindu belief, the soul is believed to be reborn in different bodies and realms based on karma, actions, and their consequences. So the soul's journey through multiple lifetimes is seen as an opportunity for spiritual evolution and ultimately for liberation. So this is a very important point. So the different realms. So the different realms in Hinduism, and hopefully we get the diagram. So there are 14 realms known as lokas, with 7 upper and 7 lower worlds. These realms are not physical locations, but rather states of existence or planes of consciousness. And this is also very important in terms of yogic definition. So there are 14 different levels or planes of existence in yoga. And this is in relation to the universe. So we are speaking in terms of universe, there are 14 worlds. But each world is not a physical world, but really a frequency of existence. So for example, like sound. So what level of sound is audible? Well, what frequency really? So from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Right? So there's a scale of sound that we can hear and a scale of sound that we cannot hear. Well, this is audio levels. What frequency? Right? So the idea is that we have, let's see if I could find a very simple diagram. So from 0 to 20,000 they have infrasounds, and above 20,000 we have ultrasounds, and then range of human perception. We have bass, medium, heights, what we will call heights in music. And very simply it means there is a frequency that we cannot hear and a frequency on the high end that we cannot hear. And the same thing is true for light. So what frequency of light can humans see? So from 400 to 790 terahertz. So there's a frequency of light on the whole spectrum of light that humans, so this is the visible spectrum, right? On the entire frequency of what you will call light. And light is vision, if you want to, because the eyes that we have, they are tuned to this frequency, let's say, and that is what our eyes as instruments can see. And anything outside that range we cannot see. And this is important because, well, there's a condition. Right. So for example, there's the condition of being able to see sounds called synthesia, specifically chromesthesia. So it's a neurological condition where stimulation of one sense triggers experiences in a second, unrelated sense. So for example, snakes, they use their tongue to pick up smell. So they taste smell. And it's a very simple way of explaining back to the main point of the different loks, according to Hinduism, which is the different loks, different frequencies of existence. And the point of yoga, moving through the loks, is not so much, that's where astral travel comes in, and we'll cover it in future episodes. But the point being here that through meditation, the mind is able to be tuned to, let's say, travel and travel not in a physical sense, but travel in a sensory sense to the different looks and experience different looks. Because the soul resides within the body. So when through astral travel, the soul is what travels. So our true self, this body is a physical object designed for this realm. And the frequency this physical body vibrates at is designed for this realm. And the sensory organs, so the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, the skin, even the brain, being able to perceive certain thought frequencies in terms of what we will call the sixth sense or our intuition. All of these are designed to function on this plane of existence or this set frequency of existence. And the soul, being the true self, is able to travel by tuning itself to different frequencies of existence, the different looks. And that is the main difference here with Hinduism. Now, there's another point I want to make here, or another topic I want to bring up here, which is the soul. So the shape of the soul, the shape of the soul according to yoga, probably. So this is the more complex of the diagrams, but this is the more accurate of the diagrams. So the individual has, this is the nervous system of the soul, if we want to call it that. And it's a very simplified diagram of the nervous system, well, the major nervous system. But this diagram is really the diagram of the, I'm trying to get a bigger one here. Here you can see it where it outlines the individual, and usually this is seen as aura. Okay, we're getting closer here. Right. So the soul body, this diagram actually illustrates better the point that I want to make. But we will go with this one. This actually illustrates better as well. If I could get it bigger. This one. Alright. So the chakra system is in this, but there's also something very important here that I want to bring up when it comes to the soul body. Okay. So the soul is connected to the universe because the soul is part of the universe and the body exists within the soul. That was a little small. Okay. So the soul exists within the body. No, the body exists within the soul. So the soul actually encompasses and holds the entire body in its state. And we have, as people will know, the 7 major chakras, right? 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the crown, right? And the crown links to the universal energy. But there also exists other chakras which are not considered the major chakras, but there is a chakra existing outside the body, if we can find it, that links to the universal energy. And so this diagram shows the different energies that travel throughout the body when the body is linked to the it is always linked. All bodies are linked to the universe, but it shows the connection of energy as it flows throughout the body. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because it shows the universal energy as it flows from our soul and connects to the cosmic energy of the universe. What is very important to note here which is where the Hindu systems come in of touching someone's feet or getting the blessing of someone, or why we should not touch someone. Not everyone, especially in yoga, they advise not everyone we should touch. Even to shake their hand or to get a hug, or even, let's say, to bless us. If somebody is blessing us, not everyone should be touched. And this is based on the yoga system here, which is, so we have the 7 major chakras, we have the 2 nadis, the major nadis, which is the breath control system, to activate the kundalini, to bring that energy up. But from the right hand, and this is very important to note, from the right hand, energy moves out, right? And from the left hand, energy moves in. So if, for example, at the very basic level, if I were to shake your left hand with my left hand, or hold your left hand with my right hand, energy moves out from my right hand into the left hand. And so, for example, someone can take, in a very simple explanation here, somebody can take your energy, whether it's negative or positive. The same way too, energy comes into the left foot and out of the right foot. So for example, that's why when you bow and touch the feet of the guru, you bow and you touch their right foot. And if you bow and touch your right hand, which is the out energy, but you touch the left foot of someone, you send energy into that person. So in the yogic system, so for example, as an example, that's why a lot of the world gurus, so for example Sai Baba, they don't allow people to touch their feet, because when a lot of people in a crowd are bowing and touching you, and the people are touching with their right hand, touching, and they touch your left foot, their energy is flowing into you. And so, for example, if a guru such as Sai Baba, who has hundreds if not thousands of people around him at any time, and allows all these people to touch his feet, they will be polluting his energy. It's just like water. If you think about it, like water. So you have a container, let's say a bottle, with pure water, clean water, and then you take 1 drop of drain water from a dirty drain, and you put that 1 drop of dirty water into the vessel with the clean water. That water is no longer drinkable. Like, you can't take that water and drink it. So in the very same exact way, you have a pure soul. Or if, for example, if you are practicing meditation, you are doing japa every day, and you are trying to purify your energy, and somebody comes with negative energy, they are a negative person. They are, let's say, polluted. Not polluted like physically, but their energy, with hate and anger and disgust and all these things. And they touch you, but let's say, no, you are not careful, and they touch you with their right hand on your left hand or your left foot, your energy now is taking their energy. Now if they touch you with their left foot on your right hand, or your right hand to their left hand, you can give them energy, which might be something you want to do. Now at the end of the day, this is why yogis, they are recluse. Yogis, they don't interact with large groups. It is not advisable if you are practicing the penance, so japa or meditation or even yajna and fasting, that you let anyone touch you. Like, you have to be very picky. And even when it comes to family members, it's not about, there's disdain or disgust or any of these things. But from an energy point of view, this is something that you have to be very careful when it comes to contaminating your own energy. So this is the little point when it came to the soul, according to Hinduism here. And the soul extends beyond the physical body. And this is where you see aura. This is why, for example, in pictures of all the saints and sages, you see a glow around them. So the external chakras. Right, so the external chakras are these energy centers located outside of the physical body, extended into the auric field. Right? Now, the external chakras, so the 12 primary chakras of the human body, extend beyond the physical, the 7. Now, well, once this information gets out, you have to be careful because the external chakras are what you will call God level, or like the angels and even the demons in the Bible. But the devatas and the asuras in Hinduism, Sri Krishna, that's beyond the physical realm, what we call the physical realm, or what we know. So this is when you start astral traveling, or you start linking with the higher realms, as I just explained, the different realms in Hinduism. These chakras develop as you begin to travel to the different loks. They don't have anything to do with this physical plane. So nobody, I doubt anybody will boast about it, because I think when you reach that level of consciousness, this is my opinion, when you reach that level of awareness and consciousness, that's not something you really feel the need to boast about. Like, it's easily provable, authenticable, whatever. Where the person who has these open, the individual who has these open, is someone who, they travel to different realms and they interact with different beings on that realm and return. So, in this world, these are not active. Right? These are active at different looks. So, but the whole point is, these are also part of the soul. So in this diagram kind of better gives an example of what I mean. But when it comes to the soul, this diagram here, this is the soul. These chakras exist in the soul body, not the human body. The human body has 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's the human body. The soul itself has the rest. So nobody in the physical body has these active. What I mean physical body? In this realm, this look, these don't come into play. So for those who might watch this program and want to start telling people, well, they have the rest open, no. So if you open it, they wouldn't be here. They would be other realms. So yeah. So that's the topic today on the concept of the soul and the soul according to Hinduism, according to yoga, because this program is a gateway program into different episodes where we go over the different realms, the different looks. So that's it for today. I ran out of time on this episode, so in the other episode we'll go into we'll go more in depth into the different topics that were discussed in this episode. So thank you for joining me. If you have any comments on this video or questions, it'll be up on social media, so YouTube and Facebook, where you can leave comments and ask questions. And for those of you who join me on our cable TV networks, different networks. Thanks for viewing, and I'll see you next week on the Omkar.